In this final video tutorial about completing the NYP Personal Project Proposal form, you have now completed the whole of the first page and we will complete the second page together. As a reminder of where to find the Personal Project Proposal form, on the Personal Project Canvas course for your year group, on the Modules page, scroll down to Initial Planning. Here you will see Personal Project Proposal form. If you click in this form, you will see a direct link to download the form where it says Complete the NYP PP Proposal Form. Click this link to download the form. In the previous videos tutorials for the proposal form, we looked at our example student Lenny's topic. He's exploring wrongful incarceration in the USA in a global context, fairness and development. We looked together at why he chose that global context, 3 different facts to show the importance of his topic, the references in APA, his personal interest in the topic, and also the interest in school and his experience with this topic. Today we're going to look at the second page of the form. Here we will look at some initial research questions, 3 ideas for possible outcomes or products, the process journal format, and also anything else that you would like your supervisor to know. The next section that we're going to work on together is initial research questions. A research question is a question that you have written that you are going to answer throughout your project. Let's have a look at Lenny's. Lenny's initial questions are: what are the main factors involved with wrongful incarcerated? Are there any patterns in the types of people wrongfully incarcerated? How can someone prove their innocence, and how can this lead to exoneration? If you are wrongfully incarcerated, what support do you get once you are on release? Who are some of the most notable exonerees? Who are some of the most notable currently incarcerated people? Who are most likely innocent? You can see that several of these questions are the same, and it's almost like a stream of consciousness, where Lenny is thinking of questions that he would like the answers to throughout his project, and he's writing all of these down. At this stage, I'm not expecting a perfect title for your project. Instead, I'm more interested in knowing the types of things that you would like to find the answers to throughout your project. It is okay if there are 4, 5, 6, 7, or many more questions in this box. You should try to write more than 1 or 2 questions though, because this will give you a better range for your project and will also help your new supervisor understand what it is that you would like to research. The next section of the Personal Project Proposal form is 3 ideas for possible outcomes or products. Before we have a look at this section, let's remind ourselves what is a product on the personal project. If you go onto the Canvas course for the personal project, you will see a module called the Personal Project Guide. Within that module is the booklet Personal Project Guide at CIS. This booklet is your complete guide to completing the personal project. It's got lots of different topics that are covered, including all of the different assessment criteria and also a checklist for completion. It explains what the personal project is, what principled action is, and all of the different aims that your project should hope to achieve, but also includes useful information such as the different formats that your product could take. As a reminder, your actions are either a product or outcome. It needs to be anything you want, but it needs to make sure that it is evident. Some examples for things that you can include or that you could do as your product are a written piece of work on a special topic such as literary, social, historical, a piece of literary fiction such as creative writing, poetry, short story, a presentation such as a business plan or organisational plan, an original work of art such as dramatic, visual, or performance. It could be an invention or specially designed object or system. It could be an original science experiment, an informational talk or a formal talk. For instance, it could be a training workshop or a radio broadcast. It could be a film or documentary, a campaign, or even a life-sized item or a model. With that in mind, let's have a look at what Lenny's written on his proposal form. Lenny has written, "It will be difficult to take a video, as he will be in another country, but he could interview people over Skype, which could be good for making an audiobook or a podcast." Lenny's saying here that his project that he wants to study is based in the USA, and he is not based in that country, so making a video for his project would be unrealistic. "I could make a website," he says, "which could act as a central hub for all Innocence projects, and that would be one example of a possible product. I could host a film screening of an existing documentary and give a presentation about wrongful incarcerations, which could raise money for an Innocence project. These are all 3 different good possible outcomes or products. Lenny has made it clear which of these may be good or not so good, and he possibly has a favourite, but it's important that you list more than one so you've got a range of options when you come to choose your final product." The next box asks about your process journal. Let's remind ourselves what a process journal is. You can find information about the process journal in the Personal Project Guide at CIS on Canvas as well. Throughout your project, you must write a process journal from start to finish. This journal is a bit like a diary of your progress. It can be stored in your Canvas Reflective Learning Journal, or it can be stored in a OneNote. You should create a new module or a new page and title it Personal Project Process Journal to get you started. The use of the process journal demonstrates Objective A and is assessed in Criterion A. There are lots of different formats, and it can be written, visual, audio, or a combination of these. You should keep all information on Canvas or in your OneNote. If you take any notes by hand, these should be photographed and scanned and uploaded into either Canvas or your OneNote. You should discuss this with your supervisor. Your journal will be used throughout the entire process, but does not need to be used every day, unless you find this useful. It should not be written up until after you have completed the process, but you should make sure you keep notes along the way. It is a place for planning. It is not additional work added to your project. It's not a diary with detailed writing about what you have done. It is a place for recording interviews and meetings. It is a place for storing useful information, quotations, pictures, ideas. You can use many different formats for your journal. It is not a static document with only one format, and the format must suit your needs. This means that your journal might be very different to your friend's journal because you'll be completing very different projects. It is a place for reflection on the different steps of the project. I recommend that you write a short reflection on your progress at least every 2 to 3 weeks, and this can be completed during your personal project lesson. It's a good place for evaluating your work that you've completed and reflecting on your learning. It's also a place for storing all of the sources that you have used. With that in mind, let's look at what Lenny decided. Lenny decided to choose a physical journal. He's explained his reasoning. He says, "I will work mostly in a physical process journal because I find it much easier to record my ideas on paper. Here I can include brainstorms, prototypes, rough sketches, and more. I will use my Google Calendar and keep important dates, emails to communicate with some people, like my supervisor, and may also write up some of my research on Google Docs, but will print out everything for my physical process journal." You may choose to keep a physical process journal, much like Lenny. You may also choose to keep an audio one, such as an ongoing podcast. You might also choose to complete an online one by using a OneNote. All of these are completely fine, and it's up to you which one you decide. The final box on the personal project proposal form asks anything else that you would like your supervisor to know about your project. This is an optional box, but it's just a space for you to include anything else that the other boxes didn't ask for. Lenny has written, "I'd like to find out if there is something similar in Germany, but my German may not be strong enough. I would like to have a supervisor who could help me with this. This is an important box to fill in if you've got an idea in mind for which supervisor you would like, or any skills that it would be useful that your supervisor has. You might want to bear in mind what type of product you're completing. For instance, if you're completing an arty project, such as a sculpture or a painting, you might want to request an art teacher. If you're completing a project that is heavily media or tech-based, you might want to suggest this in this box to make sure that your supervisor has appropriate skill to help you. Similarly, if you're completing a project that might involve a different language, it will be important to list the languages in this box so that I can help you find a supervisor who speaks those languages so that they can support you best. Once you've completed this whole document and submitted it onto Canvas, Abby will decide whether or not your project is approved. If your project is approved, you will be assigned a supervisor to help you over the next 2 years. You will then meet with your supervisor to discuss your next steps, including coming up with an overall goal and also an action plan. Now that we have been through the whole of these 2 pages, make sure that you complete this and submit it onto Canvas. As a final reminder, to submit it, go onto the Year 10 Personal Project course, go into Modules, scroll down until you see Initial Planning, click on Personal Project Proposal Form. This is where you submit your Personal Project Proposal Form. It's the same place that you downloaded the form from, and you submit it to turn it in here. If you've got any questions, make sure you speak to one of your teachers so that they can help you.